Okay, guys, in this one we're going to talk about a few things. This is a little bit of review, and this message is part of a series on the Exodus, which I strongly encourage you to watch. Go through it. I know there's many messages and many things, but I still keep getting, some of the same questions, and not everything is clearly understood. So in this, what we're going to talk about, the gathering, unto him. And when you're gathered by trumpets, okay? So there are types of trumpets, okay? And we've explained that there's a voice of a trumpet, and that's a sound of a trumpet, and there's also a physical trumpet being blown, and there's a distinction between the two. We're going to talk a little bit about that, but if you don't understand, we'll also have links if anything in this message is unclear. Now, another thing we're going to talk about is the seal, okay? And I'm just using this as an example, guys, but many of you may have seen, the Jews, when they do this thing where they place this kind of leather box, on their forehead or on their arm, and within the leather box is a scroll, okay? And there's a scroll inside with scriptures. Now, we're going to talk about what that means prophetically, okay? People are doing things without really knowing why, okay? But the things that we're describing here, guys, are very, very clearly defined in Revelation chapter 6, Revelation chapter 7, and in Matthew 24, Mark 13, regarding the sixth seal, okay? There's an assembly that takes place. So what we'll do here is, in order to illustrate the topics in this message, we have the trumpets, we have the assembly taking place, we have the seal, that's what this means, and in addition to that, we have the four winds. So let's go and let's look at the scripture. We're going to look at the verses here, guys. The other thing we're going to do, we're going to spend a lot of time referencing the original Greek, okay? There's a few times within studying this that there are critical words that are words in Greek that could go either way in English, okay? But we're going to see the very, very important significance of those, okay? Within these assemblies of trumpets and the holding back of trumpets. Later in the video, guys, the other question I get a lot of is, what time is it? Where are we? Now, we're in an interesting time that is not that easily defined. But what we're going to show you is that there's a four winds. Okay, let not the winds blow, okay, until we have sealed the servants of God on their forehead. So what that means is the blowing of the winds is the blowing of the trumpets. Okay, so we're in a place of holding back, okay? This is a schedule, but there's a holding back taking place. Later in the video, we'll get more into the timing, okay, of this, guys. But we're going to talk about the gathering, we're going to talk about the four winds, and we're going to talk about the seal, okay? So let's go over to our Bible here, and we'll show you what we're talking about. Okay, guys, here we are in Revelation chapter 6, and we have the opening of the sixth seal. Verse 12, I beheld, and when he had opened the sixth seal, there was a great earthquake. The sun became black as sackcloth as hair, and the moon became as blood. The stars fell from heaven and earth, even as a fig tree casts forth her untimely figs when she is shaken with a mighty wind. Heaven departed as a scroll when it was rolled together, and every mountain and island moved out of its places, and the kings of the earth, and great men, rich men, chief captains, mighty, every bondman, every freeman, hid themselves in the dens of the rocks, and said to the mountains and the rocks, fall on us and hide us. Now, let's pause here and read this very, very closely. Hide us from the face of him that sits on the throne. Okay, so hide us from the face of him that sits upon the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb. Okay, so who's sitting on the throne? You can see I have it highlighted here. The Lamb. Okay, so it's describing someone sitting on the throne, and it's telling us who it is, the Lamb. For the great day of his wrath has come, and who shall be able to stand? Okay, let's keep going here, and let's make note of some of the things that we saw. Okay, sixth seal. We have sun is sackcloth, moon is blood, stars fall from heaven, fig tree. and we have a throne, right? Okay. Then we have, remember, in the original Greek, there's no, chapter and verse like we have. Then we have the conclusion of Revelation chapter 6. We have chapter 7. And then it says, and in English, the King James Version here says, and after these things. So what that gives you in your mind, you think, okay, all of this happened, okay, and then after this happens. But here, this word after in the Greek is autos, and it's usually translated with. So let's read it again. And with these things I saw 4 angels holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow. Okay, now, if we pause right there, if we continue, all right, and we say, the face of him that sits upon the throne, the Lamb. And with these things I saw 4 angels standing in the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth. Okay, you see what's going on there? What's going on is we're getting a picture of this. So we have a throne. In the center of the throne, one seated on the throne is the Lamb. And guys, throughout this video and throughout all my messages, that's the main thing I want to do. I want to testify and witness to the Lamb. I don't want to testify to myself or what I think or what I do. I want to bear witness to the Lamb, to the one seated upon the throne. Okay, so here we have this pattern. All right, now what I've done here, and I basically have done an illustration of the throne in Ezekiel. Okay, now in Ezekiel we have cherubim and living creatures and wheels. Okay, all this, and this is a way of looking at that. So we're looking down. We're like bird's eye view. We're looking down. We have 4 living creatures and 4 wheels. Okay, now let's just remember what we read. We read about the Lamb seated on the throne, the one in the center. Okay, and then what we have is just what we saw. After these, I saw 4 angels standing. Now, the 4 angels standing are cherubim. And these cherubim have heads, that of a lion, an ox, a man, and an eagle. Okay, so they have 1 head, and they have 4 faces on their head. Okay, and then what they do is they are positioned in corners, or they're positioned east, west, south, north. Okay, and then what it says here in Revelation, okay, so we have these angels standing, which are the cherubim, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it says, standing in the 4 corners, holding, so these angels are holding the 4 winds. Now in Ezekiel chapter 1, the winds are called wheels, and these are also positioned by 4 around the throne. So clearly what we're getting here in Revelation chapter 7 is his throne. It's the throne of the Lamb. Okay? Now this is very significant because this is the assembly. Okay? So when we're talking about these trumpets and everything, this is what's happening is the trumpets and the assembly, everything starts with the throne and everything happens around it. Okay? So let's read a little bit more, and then we'll show you the continuation of this assembly. All right. All right, let's read it again. And with these things, or with the throne of the Lamb, I saw 4 angels standing. Okay, the angels are standing in Ezekiel chapter 1. You clearly see on the 4 corners of the earth, east, west, south, north, holding the 4 winds of the earth. And these are the wheels. That the wind should not blow on the earth. The wind should not blow on the sea. The wind should not blow on any tree. Okay, now we have 3 things. Okay, we have earth, we have sea, and we have tree. Okay, now what's happening here is the wind, or the wheels, is the blowing or the breath going into the trumpet to blow the trumpet. All right, and so we have 3, right? Well, there's actually another one. So we have earth, sea, tree. Then, verse 2, and I saw another angel ascending from the east. Now, if you're reading your Bible, you just see east. Again, if you go to the original Greek, you'll see that there's actually 2 words here. It's east and sun. So technically what this should say is, I saw another angel ascending from the east sun, having the seal of the living God. Now, the reason that's important, we just saw earth, sea, tree. Now we have sun. We have 4. Okay, so we have 4 angels, okay, 4 corners, 4 winds, and earth, sea, tree. Okay, 4 things subject to judgment. Now, the reason this is important, the reason I'm showing this trumpet, is these 4 things relate to the first 4 trumpets. So all we have to do is go to Revelation. Now, the other thing about Revelation, some people say, guys, this stuff is not in order. Yes, it is, okay? We got the 6th seal right here when he had opened the 6th seal. We saw that, right? Okay, then Revelation 8, when he had opened the 7th seal. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all right? That opens the trumpets. And we get to the trumpets. The first angel sounded, and there was hail mingled with fire and blood, and they were cast to the earth. Okay, remember we saw the earth as part of one of the things. And a third of the trees. So there we go. We have the earth, the sea, the trees. So 2 of those, earth and trees, are attributed to the first trumpet. Okay, so there's a holding back. You see that? So what's happening is there's a holding back. Hold back. Don't let the wind blow. Don't let the wind blow into the trumpet to sound the trumpets of judgment. Hold back until we do something else, which we'll talk about in a moment. And the second angel, and there's a great mountain with fire, was cast into the sea. Okay, we have earth, sea, trees, right? And the third angel sounded and fell as a great star from hell, bursting as a lamp, and it fell in the third part of the rivers and the fountains of water. So rivers and waters are also attributed to the sea, okay? And then the 4th angel sounded, and a third part of the sun. That was our number 4, okay? So clearly we have earth, sea, trees, sun, all attributed to the first 4 trumpets, okay? So when you ask me, Leland, what time is it? Well, we're in the time of the trumpets, but we have a holding back, because what it said here is these angels, okay, in this pattern, they're holding back the trumpets, okay? Why? And I saw another angel ascending from the east sun, having the seal of the living God, and he cried with a loud voice, 4 angels whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea. And it said, hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, until we have sealed the servants of God on their foreheads. Okay? So what we have is we have something that is clearly a throne. Clearly we have 4 angels, we have 4 winds, and we have the Lamb in the center. It's all about the Lamb, okay? We have this structure. Okay, and then what do we have? We have hold back, okay, or hurt not. Don't let the trumpet blow. Don't let the wind blow. Don't let the sound of the trumpet happen until we have sealed the servants of God on their foreheads. Okay? Now, let's do this, guys. Because then what it's going to do, we saw this pattern, okay? You see this here, we have these 4 angels. Okay? Then what it does is it goes on to describe the tribes, okay? And so that's what we're illustrating here. So here, just like we have before, guys, we had the 4 cherubim, or living creatures, lion, ox, man, eagle. So here we have those 4, right? And again, in the center is the Lamb. So what's happening is these angels are participating in the judgments and assembly of the people around the throne. So you can see that you have this pattern. You have 4, okay? And then what we're given in Revelation is 12, okay? So what it starts with is 4, and then you add, you have 1, but the 1 is here, and you add 2 more. So now 1 becomes 3, and you see, just like you have 4, now you have 4, now you have 4, now you have 4, now you have 4, okay? So the 4 living creatures, lion, ox, man, eagle, assemble the rest of the 12, the tribes. And that is exactly what we see in Revelation 7. So, till we have sealed the servants of God on their forehead, and I heard the number that would have sealed, 144,000 of the tribes of the children of Israel, right? And then you have the tribes, Judah, Reuben, Gad, Asher, Naphtali, Manasseh, Simeon, Levi, Asher, Zebulun, Joseph, Benjamin, okay? So what we have is the assembly, okay? Now, this is exactly what we'll look at in Numbers, okay? But before we do that, I'm going to show you this again, but before we do that, let's look at Matthew 24, okay? Because in Matthew 24, there can be no confusing this, guys. This is very, very simple. In Matthew 24, we have the same exact thing, okay? Matthew 20, all this is, you guys know all these verses. You know, I'm not telling you anything new. Matthew 24:29, immediately after tribulation of those days, the sun shall be darkened, the moon shall not give her light, the stars shall fall from heaven, the powers of heaven shall be shaken. That's exactly what we saw in the sixth seal. There's no confusing that. This is talking about the sixth seal, okay? Then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. Well, what's that? It's this, okay? Well, how do you know it's that? Well, because then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man, and all the tribes of the earth shall mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. Okay, so the power and great glory, when he comes in the clouds, he's coming on his throne. Okay, and he shall send his angels with a great voice, okay, of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to another. Okay, this, and then it says, learn the parable of the fig tree. So we saw the fig tree in the sixth seal. We saw the solar eclipse, lunar eclipse, stars falling from heaven. It's clearly the sixth seal. Okay, so the sound, the voice of the trumpet is the gathering together, okay, of his elect from the four winds. Well, who is the elect? We saw them. They're 144,000. All right, they're four winds. Okay, we saw the four winds. All right, and we saw the he shall send his angels, okay? And then we have the angels. We have the cherubim with the face. Lion, ox, man, eagle, okay? So clearly, Matthew 24 is talking about this assembly. And those of you who follow for a while, you know I'm saying the same thing over and over, but people still don't seem to understand this, all right? Now, I've been in the places where these Exodus took place, right? Now, of course, now I'm in the States, but notice what it says here. They shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to another. So look at it this way. This assembly is not in a physical place. You know, you don't have to go to Israel. You don't have to go anywhere, guys. This assembly is elect from one end. They're gathering from the ends of heaven in the spirit, okay? And if we also go, let's actually go to Mark as well. A couple things in Mark I want to point out. Mark 13 has a, the similar account to this. And then down here, and after tribulation of the days, sun is darkened, moon shall not give her light, the stars fall of heaven, powers of heaven are shaken. They shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds with power and great glory. He shall send his angels and shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from the uttermost part of the earth to the uttermost part of heaven. Okay, so earth, heaven. So in the spirit and the earth. So this is a literal thing. It's sometimes heaven means in the spirit realm, earth is physical realm, but that's it. The gathering that's taking place. Okay. So what's going on, guys, is we're in the time when certain things are to take place, but there's a holding back now. Again, for the elect's sake, whom he has chosen, he has shortened the days. Okay, so what's happening is the shortening of the days does not come at the end of the time of judgment. It comes at the beginning. Okay, so the shortening of the days is for the elect. Why? Well, because there's something being held back. Okay, remember it said, let not the winds blow until we have sealed the servants of God in their forehead. So guys, there can be no mistaking that the elect are the 144,000, okay? And that the shortening of the days, okay, for the elect's sake, the shortening of the days is to hold back the judgment until they're sealed. So guys, they're going to be sealed when he gathers them, when the Son of Man appears in the clouds. It's as simple as that. That's what's going to happen, okay? So, and again, now let's look at, when we showed you this pattern, now let's look at this in terms of the Exodus. Everything we see in Revelation, we should be seeing as a part of the Exodus, okay? So here, in this pattern, you see that there are corners, right? And so if you, let's say, just for example, this is east. If this is east, this is west, this is south, this is north. You have four living creatures, and from them are the 12 tribes. Okay, that's exactly what we see in the book of Numbers. So now let's go to Numbers, and Numbers chapter 10, and here we have the trumpets. There are 2 trumpets of silver. Numbers chapter 10. Okay, and they will blow the alarm. Okay, and so when they blow the alarm, all the assembly shall assemble themselves at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. Okay, and of course in Revelation chapter 4, that's verse 1, that's what we see. I, John, had a door. After these things I looked, and behold, the door was open in heaven, and the first voice which I heard as a trumpet talking to me, saying, come up hither. Okay, so we have a door in heaven, a voice of a trumpet. That's exactly what we see here. Oops, I didn't hold my place in Numbers, did I? Let's see if we find it quick. All right, Numbers 10, same thing. We have trumpets, 2 trumpets of silver, and they shall blow them in the assembly and at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. Okay, you see that? Okay, and if they blow the trumpet, then the princes of the heads of the households of Israel shall gather themselves. Okay, so the first thing it says, if they blow the trumpet, 1 trumpet of the princes. That's exactly what we see. Apostle John is one of the apostles. Okay, the princes. He's assembled first. Okay, so the first 1 trumpet is the man-child. Is in this case John is representing that. Okay, so that's the man-child. He's first. Okay, and when you blow an alarm, then the camps that are lying the east part shall go forward. So then what we saw, if we were just, for illustration, if this is east, so then you have these tribes, okay, for the east, shall go forward, and they shall blow alarm a second time, and then shall the camps of the south, okay, and this is south. So what's happening is there's clearly trumpets being blown for assembly, all right? And then we can see later on, there's a lot here. I just got to move quickly, but in verse 12, and the children of Israel took their journeys out of the wilderness of Sinai, and the cloud rested in the wilderness of Paran. That's where I did all these other videos in Paran. I was in that wilderness, okay, to illustrate these assemblies. So then in Numbers 10, we have a standard for Judah. We know that standard for Judah is the lion, okay, and that's the east, okay. So they are they're positioned in the east. Then with him is Gershon and Miriam. These are 2 of the portions of the tribe of Levi. And then we have another standard for Reuben. Okay, Reuben is south, and Reuben's sign is man. So we have a standard, we have a main tribe. Now these are the main tribes, guys. So when we're looking at the living creatures, we have lion, right? Okay, and we have man. Okay, here. Okay, we have ox. Okay, and we have eagle. All right, so you have 4 main tribes. Those 4 main tribes are positioned east, west, south, and north, and then you have the other tribes, which we are illustrating here. So then you have the 12 that are also positioned in corners. Okay, and the standard, the camp of Ephraim is ox, west. Okay, and you can also see I'm attributing colors. Okay, so lion is white, man is black, ox is red, and eagle is pale or green. And so, and the standard of the camp of the children of Dan, eagle, north. Okay, so clearly what's happening is these cherubim are assembling these tribes. Okay, that is just very clear. I don't know how to make that any more clear to you. Other than, let's just go to the gathering that's also mentioned in 2 Thessalonians. In 2 Thessalonians, chapter 2, verse 2, I beseech you, brethren, by the coming of the Lord Jesus Christ. So what are we talking about? The coming of our Lord Jesus Christ, and by our gathering together unto him. Okay? So, clearly, there's a gathering together unto him. This word in the Greek is epi-synagogue. Okay? And it's actually very similar to the gathering of the elect, which is episynago, I believe. It's very similar, not exactly the same word. Okay, so there's a gathering together, guys. Okay, there is. All right. Then it goes on and to talk about the similar verses that you guys are familiar with. Okay, about the man of sin and everything else. But what I'm trying to emphasize is this trumpet, these assemblies. Now, one other thing I want to mention. Let's go back to Revelation. Now let's go to Revelation chapter 8. Revelation chapter 8 gives us an important distinction of this trumpet. Okay, verse 13. And I beheld, and I heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, Woe, 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 3 woes, to the inhabitants of the earth by reason of the other voices of the trumpet. And you can see here, if you can see here, I have phone. So in Greek, the word voice is phone, where we get in English the word phone. So we have a phone of the trumpet. Okay, now this is the voice of the trumpet. Okay, so remember what it said. Woe, woe, woe to the inhabitants of the earth by reason of the other voices, phone, of the trumpet, of the 3 angels which have yet to sound. In Greek is salpizo. So what this is telling us is there are 2 ways by which the trumpet, you hear the trumpet. It is the voice of the trumpet, or it is the sound of the trumpet. So whenever we see the word phone, that's voice. Salpizo is an actual trumpet. Okay, now the word salpizo, as it relates to the trumpet, is always in association with these trumpets of Revelation. Okay, always. Okay, and I have lots of videos on this. I'll show you links in the description field to get into this and describe it. So when we go back here, I saw 4 angels standing in the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow. An angel from the east have the seal of the little God, saying, Hurt not the earth, the sea, the trees, till we have sealed the servants of God in their forehead. Now, the reason I'm going through this over and over, guys, is that it's saying, hold back, okay? The Lord said, no man knows the day or the hour. Okay, so no man knows that, and because no man knows that day or the hour, there's a holding back. Okay, so we're holding back these trumpets. These trumpets are being held back. They're not being blown at the scheduled time. Why? Because we don't know the day of the hour. The Son of Man will appear in the clouds in power and great glory. No man knows that day of the hour, guys. That's what the scriptures say, okay? And that's clearly what's being described to us here, okay? Now, I'm going a little long. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do such a long video, but let's talk about more in the Exodus. One sec. Okay, so now let's talk about the seal. So then what it says here, it says, Hurt not the earth, the sea, the trees, so we have sealed the servants of God on their foreheads. And I heard the number of them which we are sealed. Now, again, this is an example of why we need to look at the original Greek here, guys. Okay, verse 3. Until we have sealed the servants. Now here in the Greek, where it says sealed, is actually 2 words. It's a double of the Greek word to seal. Okay, so but it's saying it has this word twice. So this is a double seal. Okay, it's like if we were to read this in English, it would sound a little strange because we're having the same verb twice, right? Until we have sealed the servants of God on their foreheads. But it's an important distinction. Now the same thing happens in verse 4, and I heard the number of them which we are sealed. Okay, but what they did, the translators, what they did, I heard the number of them which were sealed, and the translator said, and there were sealed, 144,000. But this sealed is significant. And just looking here, if I can see that word in the Greek in my notes. Yeah, shrapagio. Okay. Here, I'll just put this in front of you so you can see that a little bit. Okay, here twice in the Greek we have the word. I'll put the notes in the description field. Sphragizo. Okay, and we have this twice. So what we need to pay attention here is, why is it this word sealed twice? Well, I believe it's a double seal, guys. I believe that the people are sealed, they're marked at one point, and that point is a spiritual seal. Okay, so we have one, remember there were two trumpets, right? There are two silver trumpets. So we have one way of looking at it, it's a physical seal, or excuse me, first one is a spiritual seal and then is a physical seal. So we know the physical seal is the glorified body, okay? And that would line up perfectly with 1 Thessalonians 4. We will be like him when we see him as he is, right? Okay, so that's why I believe it's saying when it's holding back, okay, and it has this sealed. But this is why it's so important to look at the original language. Now, let's also talk about, you can see this is my Leatherman case, but before we were talking about this seal, okay? Now, again, like I said, they would put this, they would put a scroll inside a leather box, and they would put it on their, I don't know if there's a right hand or left hand, however they did it, they put it on their forehead. But what they're doing, guys, let's go back and look at what they're doing. What they're doing is something very, very important for us to understand. I've not actually heard anybody teach this, but it's very, very important. If we go to Deuteronomy chapter 6, this is very famous verses. These are the commands of the Lord. Thou shalt love the Lord God with all your heart, soul, and mind. Okay? And these words which I command you shall be in your heart. Okay, so where is this? So his words in your heart. What's the first command? To love the Lord. Love the neighbor as yourself. Okay? In verse 8, and you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand. Okay? So, remember, the mark of the beast is on the hand and on the forehead. So this is the counter to the mark of the beast, is loving the Lord. Okay? You shall have a sign. So this is the seal right here. The seal is not just on the forehead. They're sealed on the forehead, but they're also, their work, their hand is sealed as well. Okay? A sign upon your hand, and it shall be as frontlets between your eyes. So that's the sign is on the hand and on the forehead. Okay, and this we know as the seal. Now pay close attention to verse 9. And you shall write them upon the posts of your house and on your gates. Okay. Now, what is the house? The house is the physical body. Okay, so these are signs, these are things on the physical body. So however the observance was to be, these things are put on and they pray and everything, but the word, the scroll, is the first commandment. Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all your heart. And then it says, where are these things? In the heart. So guys, it's not necessary that we do physical things to show people how spiritual we are, all right? Observance. But what they don't know is that this is the seal of revelation, okay? It's on the hand. It's on frontlets between your eyes. It's on your house and your gates. So your eyes, frontlets between your eyes are actually gates. That's what it's telling us. That's what we're going to get into the Ten Commandments, and that's what the Lord said. This is very clear. So what this is saying is this is a sign upon the house. Now, the reason I'm taking a little time to go over this, guys, is that there's another seal that I know you guys know, but it's what we're doing in the Passover. So the other sign in the Exodus is Passover. In the Passover, obviously what you did is you took the blood and you added it to the posts of your house. Okay, so again, we're adding the blood to the body. The house is the body. We saw that clearly in Deuteronomy. So the sign is on the body, and it shows clearly it's on the hand and it's on the forehead. Okay, now, the reason I'm working through all this, bear with me. I hope you follow that. We have, you can look at pictures and stuff of how the Jews do that observance, everything. They're doing that. They don't really know what they're doing, because you have to know who the Messiah is. Okay? Now, let's go to Revelation 12, because we see this seal. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb. Okay? So remember, we saw the blood of the Lamb is the seal, is the mark on the house, right? The blood of the Lamb. And now, this is very, very important, guys. You understand this. And by the word of his testimony. Again, in the Greek, nearly all your different translations will say by the word of their testimony. Okay, but again, in Greek, this word is autos, mostly translated his. So this is the main thing, guys, that I want to convey to you, is that I testify to his testimony. I testify to the Lamb. It's by the blood of the Lamb. Guys, our works are not going to, it's not our works, it's his works. It's what he's done for us, okay? So let's pay attention to what it says here. They overcame. Who is it that overcame? Well, in the 7 churches, to each church it says, to he that overcomes, okay? So all the overcomers in the 7 churches overcome by what? The blood of the Lamb and by the word, logos, of his testimony. Okay, so it's all about the Lamb, guys. We are gathering around the Lamb. It's the Lamb that's seated upon the throne. It's the Lamb that we want to testify to. Okay, it's not the word of your testimony. It's the word of his testimony. Okay, it's what he has done. And they loved not their lives unto death. Okay, so remember what we saw in the scroll. The command was to love the Lord your God with all your heart. Okay, now those that love the Lord your God all their heart, they love not their own life. Okay, they love not their lives unto death. Okay, so clearly we have the blood of the Lamb, the word of the testimony, okay, and the word of the testimony, guys, is also the ark of the testimony. Okay, now when I talk about this real quick, okay, this is another example of the ark of the testimony. Now the ark of the testimony is 1.5 cubits by 2.5 cubits, and in it you had 2 cherubim, okay, and the 2 cherubim had their wings pointed. Now those are 2 cherubim, right? Here we have 4 cherubim. Okay, so what we have is something that's only 2. Now it became 4 once it reached the temple. Once it reached the temple, there were cherubim, large cherubim built that completed this pattern. So you have 2 with their wings pointed like this, and when it reached the temple, you have another 2 pointing like this, thus completing the pattern. Okay, so again, in the book of Numbers, in the Exodus, guys, the center was the Ark of the Covenant. The Ark of the Covenant is the throne. It's the throne of the Lamb. That's what we are assembling around. Okay, so the tribes are all assembling around the throne. Okay, and this is, when the wings are pointed, the Ark of the Covenant was in the center, and the Levites were closest to the Ark, and then from that we have the other patterns of positions, lion, ox, man, eagle, and then the 12 tribes. Okay, so I hope you understand that. Guys, it's all about the Lamb. These people are those that follow the Lamb wheresoever he goes. Oh, there's one other thing I remembered. Actually, I want to get in this video. It's going longer than I anticipated, but this is also really important. Actually, let me just find it. One sec. Okay, here we go. All right, Exodus 13. So right after Passover, right? Then we have the Lord saying, "The Lord showed his firstborn in the land of Egypt, both the firstborn of man and the firstborn of beast. Therefore, I sacrifice to the Lord all that opens the matrix, beginning with the males, all the firstborn of my children I redeem." Okay, so we have a redeeming of the firstborn. "And it shall be a token upon my hand." Okay, the firstborn, a token upon the hand. "And frontlets between your eyes, for the strength of the Lord that brought us out of Egypt." Okay, so again, this is the seal. The seal is on the hand. The seal is on the forehead. Okay, frontlets between the eyes. Okay, it is the contrary to the mark of the beast. They can't buy or sell unless they have the mark of the beast. Well, these are those that are sealed on their foreheads. Okay, it's the contrary to the mark. Okay, and there's another verse here. Let's see, where is it? From we have them. It should be for a memorial. Let me find that one. Okay, and here it is, Exodus 13:8. "And it shall be and you shall show your son in that day, saying, This was done of all that the Lord has done that you came out of Egypt. And it shall be a sign unto you upon your hand, and a memorial between your eyes, that the Lord's law may be in your mouth. So again, we have the hand, we have the seal on the forehead, and memorial. And this memorial in Hebrew is this word zikron. And these are the people written on the scroll, guys. It's a scroll of memorial. I'll put a link in the description field if you don't know what I'm talking about. This is all very easy to understand, okay? So the sealing of the firstborn, the redeeming. Remember it said, the firstborn of my children I redeem. It shall be a token upon your hand and frontlets between your eyes. So all that is very, very clearly what it says in Revelation 7 and 14. And I looked at for the Lamb. It's the Lamb, guys. It's all about the Lamb. It's the Lamb that stood on Mount Zion, okay? And then stood on Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having the Father's name on their foreheads, okay? It's the same seal. Voice from heaven and many waters, and they sung a new song before the throne, okay? Before the four beasts, okay? So the assembly that's taking place of the 12, right? 12, okay? And then you have the four, okay? The before the throne, okay, we have the throne, and we have the four beasts, okay, and the elders. And no one can learn the song about the 144,000 which were redeemed from the earth. Okay, we saw the firstborn. And these are they which are not defiled by women, they are virgin, they are follow the Lamb. Wheresoever he goes. These were redeemed, twice, it's saying redeemed, from among men, being first fruits unto God and the Lamb. Okay, so again, first fruits has to do with firstborn, and that's what the seal is. So guys, I covered a lot here. I encourage you to go over this slowly and study all the scriptures and look at everything. There's more about timing I don't have time to get into, but thanks for watching. Please watch the other videos. Everything I'm doing is more or less review. The one thing I'm trying to get across is this seal, this thing, you know, that the Jews do, and it's, you know, it's put on the hands, put on the forehead. It's the seal, guys. This is the seal of the living God. And we are to have his word in our hearts. We are to love the Lord with all our God, with all our hearts, souls, and mind. So guys, thanks for watching. Again, one other thing, actually, before I wrap it up, I always want to include everything in these videos, you know, because I conclude and I forget. Okay, hide us from the face of him that sits on the throne, the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand? You know, all these videos, I always quote this. Watch therefore and pray always that you be counted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass and stand before the Son of Man. So that what we're reading there every time, you can see it's highlighted here in yellow, is talking about his throne. When his throne comes, we'll be able to stand. Guys, thanks for watching. God bless you. And again, please watch the links in the description. Love you guys, and thank you for watching.